Welcome to the Sabrina Marie Show. We have Bishop Johnathan Fowler here today. He's from Improving Lives Church, and I can't wait to talk to him to find out about his journey in ministry. Bishop Fowler, I got to get used to saying Bishop Fowler. I'm so used to saying pastor. So that's the word I've been having trouble with. I've been trying to make sure I give you your right accolades and your right position and everything like that. So if I say Pastor Fowler, don't take it as offense. I don't mean it that way.
I'm not offended at all. It's just a title. Just a title.
Well, I'm so glad that you took the time out to be on my little show. I really appreciate it. That was really nice of you to agree to interview with me, and I'm excited to find out a little bit more. Well, I kind of think I know a little bit about your journey because I feel like I've been there from the beginning. Just a little
Absolutely.
backdrop on the relationship with Bishop Fowler and myself. We went to the same ministry for years when we were very young.
I was actually Minister Fowler back then.
Minister Fowler. He was Minister Fowler back there, and he was doing ministry and music as well.
Yeah.
And I just remember you definitely having a great calling on your life, and to see where you're at right now, having different ministries and being a bishop and planting churches and growing people is so amazing. So I am honored to even just be here to see and so happy to see your journey. I did see that you had gotten a new church, but we're going to go back to that. I wanted to start off a little bit. So give my audience a little bit history about who you are and how you got into ministry.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thank you for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here with you. Watching your journey as well has been absolutely amazing. When I first met you, I met you in your beauty salon on Linden Boulevard. And I remember you said, if you keep coming, I'll train you on how to do hair. Sometimes I wish I would have took you up on that offer. But it's exciting to see what God is doing for you as well. So we're excited. Pretty much, we're pastoring church here in Goose Creek, South Carolina, which is outside of Charleston, as well as Jamaica, Queens, and Savannah, Georgia. And so the Lord has been good to us. It's been a long journey. Matter of fact, this October will make 20 years that I've been pastoring. So this... 20 years. You know, some people work a job for 20 years and retire.
Right.
But of course, I'm far from retiring in ministry. We're actually looking to expand when this pandemic is over. We're believing that we're going to expand and really begin to adapt to the new norm in ministry and be able to definitely reach a culture and a generation of people that we have never reached before. So we're excited.
That is definitely exciting to even to say that and to be able to adapt to the new times. I do know that a lot of people won't be able to adapt, and that's very scary to see, see that, some people can adapt and get on and keep moving forward and everything like that. And it's a very scary feeling because I remember, just sitting in my room and I was thinking about the next phase of life and just thinking about how, throughout the years from my youth until now, I'm not that old, but I'm older, how I had to adapt to different changes and different things like that. And it had not been easy. And even with this transition of what we're doing, I definitely found myself in a frustrated place at one moment. I could say at one moment, I think I had a moment where I was like, oh my God, everything is just changing before my eyes. It's moving so fast. How am I going to pick up and catch up and make sure? And then, you find yourself getting into that depressed mode, but then you got to just kind of snap out of that and say, hey, listen, you don't lay down and die. You just keep on going. You keep going. And I'm like, what could I do to keep moving forward? And that's when God gave me the push to say, now it's time to multiply yourself. And that's through my own children, at this
Mm-hmm.
point, through my own children, and allowing myself to ask for help of things I don't understand, that the new generation does understand, and things
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
Um,
Well, I think number one, we're from New York City, the city that's always evolving. Something is always changing. Something is always happening. I think you just got to tap into the creativity that God has placed inside of you. Always remember, nothing take God by surprise. So if something happens, we have already been wired and engineered to handle it. So as this whole pandemic, uh, I want to use the word as it passes, as society is changing, we got to tap into the creative power that God has placed inside of us. I don't care how old we become, what age or what stage we find ourselves in life. We have a grace and anointing. I don't want to sound like a preacher, but that's just who I am. We have a grace and an anointing on us to handle whatever happens. And so I think those that are watching need to understand, I can handle whatever happens. That's the mindset. I can handle whatever happens. Good, bad, difficult, easy, stressful, stress-free, whatever happens, I can handle it. And I think that's the mindset we have to develop.
Absolutely. That's amazing.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely believe that some of us may need a little bit of push and a little bit of encouragement to get there. But I definitely believe that, and we just got to keep moving forward. Let me ask you a question. How long have you said you've been in ministry for 20 years, and you became a minister at what age?
I started preaching at the age of 15. And so 16, I officially became a minister. So
15?
yeah,
Like, how
15.
do
I
you
started.
know at that age that that's what you want to do for the rest of your entire life? You
Well,
know how many
well,
things I have done since I was 15 years old?
this is what's interesting. So around between the age of 14 and 15, I knew something was happening, something was changing in my life. I didn't know how to embrace it. So instead of me running to God, I hooked up with a group of young men, and we got caught up in some illegal activities. This
Really?
is how, yeah. And when
You
we,
don't seem like that type.
right, every time I tell a story, people are like, who, you? Yeah, I was caught up with the wrong group. So what happened was, we did something, and out of the whole group, I was the only one that got caught. So the guy that we violated, I'm calling the cops, you're going to jail. And I never forget going inside the house, getting on my knees, and I told the Lord, if you keep me out of jail, I will preach. I'll say
Whoa.
yes. And so at that moment, at the age of 15, I got on my knees, I prayed, and I asked the Lord, keep me out of jail. Not even 5 minutes later, the guy came knocking on our door, and he told my mother, he said, I don't even know why I'm doing this. But just because you're a nice lady, that's what he said, but we know it was something different. He told my mother, just because you're a nice lady, I'm not going to call the cops. You know, and then he just walks away from the door frustrated. So from that night forward, I told the Lord yes, and I never forget, get up off my knees, I repent, and I submitted to the call of ministry. Now, have I been perfect from that moment up until now? Absolutely not. Made a lot of mistakes, but I stayed committed to the call to preach the gospel.
That is so wonderful, just to be able to commit to something at such a young age. Um, I remember being a young girl, and I remember getting baptized. I was about, I'll say, between the ages of 12, 13 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And I made the decision to get baptized because our parents used to kind of like push us out the house to go to church, because on Sundays, they gathered with their friends, they had their cocktails, and they would play their cheating in the next room type music, that kind of music and
Right,
stuff
right.
like that. And so they wanted us kids to get out the house, and we had a church right next door.
Mm-hmm.
And you even know the church, but they had a church right next door. And so we used to have to get out and just go to church. And me spending so much time over there, I paid attention, and I used to look around and I used to be like, wow, like I want that kind of relationship. These people love God. Who is God? I want to know who he is. And I remember trying to, trying to figure out who he was. And I remember trying to be a good girl and, and be a good girl in school, because the pastor's daughter used to go to my school and everything. And I wanted her to tell them that I was a good girl so I could get on the choir, and I wanted to be on the big kids choir, and I just wanted to be a part. And I had at that age, I had been going through some I don't even know if I should say it. I had been going through some things, and at a young age, and I didn't have anybody to turn to and to tell or to run to or anything like that. And that's when I just started my relationship with God, because I just felt like he wouldn't tell nobody. I could talk to him. And I remember she was my best friend at the time, and she gotten baptized because she had gone through some of the same situations that I had went through. And she was telling me how she felt so renewed and new again. And we were around the same age. And I was like, wow, like I want God to take all this off of me. Like I want him to take all this stuff off of me. And I remember making the decision to I didn't have a parent permission. I didn't do none of that. Nobody told me to do it. And I went to the pastor and I asked him, I was like, please baptize me. I want to be clean. I want to love God. I want to know him. And I did get baptized. And I remember feeling like a new person and everything. And I started my relationship with God. I want to say I didn't know anything about a call or anything at that time, but I just started my love relationship with God, because I feel like that's my thing with my God right now. I have a real love relationship, and I know love is not enough, but that's where I'm at. And so after doing that, for a period of time, the church ended up moving to another location, a couple of years later. And then I had not been to church until I was an adult after that, So once I got into that, it just reminded me of that love relationship that I had. And I remember feeling such a sense of peace, because I used to be a crazy, raging lunatic out there in the world. I'm not going to lie. I used to be crazy. I know people think I'm a little out there now and a little, just boisterous and things like that. But I am nowhere near how I used to be. Nowhere near. I don't think my conscience will allow me to do the things that I used to do, or my own personal convictions. Like I say, our relationship is personal. We have our own personal convictions, and you don't have to point your finger at me. Trust me, God already dealing with me. It's up to me to respond to it at this point,
Absolutely.
But I think that's just amazing. At 15 years old, and to stay dedicated all these, this is a long time to be dedicated to a call in ministry. I think that's so cool. Like, it's so amazing. That's so amazing.
I think a lot of it have to do with, as well, like you said, love relationship. What I do now, I do it for the love that I have for God. Because trust me, if it was left up to church people, and we served in the same ministry for years. If it was left up to church people, I would have been walked away. I would have quit. But you said something that was key. That relationship you had with God was based upon personal love relationship. Many people miss it because they get caught up in church work. They get caught up in titles and positions, and I'm doing this and I'm doing that. All of that means nothing if you don't have a relationship with God. And this is why you see people in church, but they're not a part of the church, because they caught up in the logistics of it. And I think if you're going to really have that peace, like you said, you're going to have that commitment, that consistency, that tenacity. There has to be a love relationship with God. And I think I'm still in this because I love God. Because trust me, if it was up to me, I always wanted to be a funeral director. And I always say, I can leave church. I'm not a pastor because it's a career. I'm a pastor because it's a call. I can leave church and still go into corporate America. You know how we were raised. Come on. You know how we used to do coming up. We had ideas. We were innovative.
And that was another thing that I want to touch on as well, because I know that not only that you are a pastor, a bishop of many locations, but you are an entrepreneur as well.
Absolutely.
And you have your own businesses as well. And that's super important too. you know, and I feel like when you do things like that, not that you can't be 100% ministry, because I believe that you could do that too, but when you do things of that nature, it kind of takes the sting off of people judging or or your commitment, or why are you doing ministry and things like that. That's when judgment starts to fall in. But when you do your own thing as well, like, listen, I know how to sustain, I know how to take care of my livelihood, I know
Hey,
how to
listen,
take care of my
even with that, people still judge you. We're multiple business. People still, you know, the pastor's still stealing the money. The pastor's still really getting.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
Let me ask you a question. Going back to the age of 15, because I'm so astounded by that. How did you know to take the apostle of prayer? Was it your mom who instilled that in you at that age? She was saved already?
Yeah, I was born in the church, you know, born and raised in the church.
So you was definitely a church boy.
Yeah, all I knew was church. And I think when I went through that little rebellious stage, my friends used to say to me, they would get ready to go do things, and they would literally say, yo, you can't go. Yo, I'm going. No, you can't go. You a church boy. It's like they saw something on me I didn't even see in myself. I had a friend, Polo. He's on my Facebook page. His street name was Polo. And I remember they would get ready to go do something illegal. I'm not going to put it out there to protect the guilty. They would get ready to go do something illegal. And so I'm getting ready to jump in the car with them. And he was like, nah, they used to call me church boy. Nah, church boy, you ain't going with us because you going to get us caught, man, because God, they just knew no. And so at that age, being raised in church, I was always in Sunday school. Matter of fact, I was in the same class with your in-laws. We was in Bible school together. I was a little kid. They were adults, and we were in class together. So I was in Bible school, Sunday school. I was in church, prayer meeting, choir rehearsal. Oh my God, my mother was on the trustee board. So I'd be sitting in the back of the trustee board, listening to all the church business. 13, 14 years old, I knew more what the adults knew, what was going on with the church. You know, I was just there. And so it was instilled in me to be a part of church. In church, I learned to be a part of the church. At home, my mother taught me how to build a personal relationship with God. And so at that early age, I knew that when trouble came, I knew I had to go to God because he was the only one that's going to get me out.
I know. What kind of advice could you give me as a mother where I have a 10-year-old going to be 11 this year who came out of ministry at the age of 2 and kind of was like a little traumatized, and I haven't forced it on him, but I want him to know God. You know, I want him to know who God is. I try to take him to church before, but first I had to deal with my own anxiety about going to church, you know, going back to church. And then once I dealt with my own anxiety and it was able to be in a building, to actually just go inside of a ministry, I had to do a lot of work to even be able to step foot inside of a ministry. And then once I was able to do that, I remember someone trying to pray for me and I freaked out. I had an anxiety attack and ran out of the church. I really had an anxiety attack. And I was like, yo, I didn't even know I was this messed up. Like, you know, and then once I got to the point where, because I forced myself, nobody did it. Nobody pushed me to do it, because if anything, the people that I know, they were like, leave it alone, you know, but because of my relationship with God, and I never stopped praying. I never stopped my relationship, no matter what happened. I never stopped my personal relationship. I told God, I want to be able to come into your house. How to help me do this? And so each time that, I don't matter how much I had anxiety attack, I sat in my car, you know, got it together, got back out, went back in, you know, I did all those things. And then I said, okay, now I done got myself where I can go sit down in church and hear the word. And I can even have somebody even pray for me. Just don't touch me. Just, you can pray for me, you know, just don't touch me. And now how can I bring this back to my family? Because my family hasn't dealt with their pain. My son has been scarred and I can't even get him to walk inside of a ministry. The time I tried to take him to church, and this kid jumped out of my arm when I tried to put him in the daycare part. He jumped out of my arm and he ran under the table screaming and crying. And then when one of the ladies tried to pick him up to, you know, to help me, he punched a lady in her face. He was 2 years old. He punched a lady in her face. Wow. He was so traumatized. And I was like, how do I never took him back after that.
Right,
I was like, how do I fix this?
right,
How do
right,
I fix this? Because at the end of the day, God is still God, you know,
right,
and I
right.
don't want him not to have a relationship with God. So
Yeah.
how do I
Well, I
do
think you
that?
answered your own question there. I think you need to introduce him to God and not necessarily the institution of the church. You know, we're in a culture now where you can literally build an altar in your home, you know, and I'm not an advocate for um, staying away from church. I'm not an advocate for not fellowshipping with church, but I am an advocate for teaching your children how to develop a relationship with God for themselves at home. Teach them what it means to worship. Teach them what it means to praise. You have YouTube videos. I mean, you have DVDs. There's so many
Like
tools out here that you
so
can use.
technical, and my
Hmm.
kid is such a they're so technical. These kids
Hmm.
are so technical. So you definitely got to know your stuff, and you better not be talking just faith based. You got to
Yeah,
give them some kind of extra with it, you know,
yeah,
especially
yeah,
with my son because
yeah.
he's I don't know. This kid is different. He's not like the rest of them. He's a different breed from
Right,
the other two girls.
right,
But
right,
you're gonna have to break it down to him. Wait, you know, like he's that type of kid. So it's a
yeah.
definitely a research and study type thing, even on myself, and it'll probably be good for me too. I know it will be
Hmm.
good for me.
Right, right.
Um, yeah,
Well,
but
have you bought him a Bible?
no,
That's step one. You got to give him a Bible. Now, that's one thing. As a young kid, I had different types of Bible. 13, 14 years old, I had like I had different types of Bibles. So
yeah,
just like I had the Bible for the kids, had a study Bible, I had a concordance Bible. You remember New Life Christian Bookstore on Queens Boulevard.
yeah. I used to love
Everybody used
that
to go
store.
there. Other kids wanted to go to McDonald's to play. I used to ask my mother to take me to the bookstore. Literally, we would go to the bookstore, walk around the bookstore. I'll pick up different books and stuff. And some of the books I still have to this day. I'm in my 40s. I'm 42. I still have books from when I was in my teens. One of our family friend gave us a book by Les Brown, Live Your Dreams. I still have that book to this day. She gave me that book. I was like 15. Matter of fact, I just started preaching. Still have the book today. So, and I know the kids got iPads and Kindles and stuff. So download some stuff for him to read and just let him read it. Let him absorb it and teach him the number one thing. Teach him how to pray. Teach him how to talk to God. If you explain that to him, no matter what he goes through, if you ever feel anxiety, alone, rejected, if you ever feel like you just need to talk, teach him how to pray. Because once you teach him how to pray, it opens up a level of communication between him and God that no one can take from him. That's the most
I want to
important
do
thing.
that. You know, I really want to do that. You're right, and I haven't been diligent with that. I kind of
Mhm.
um I've been slack with that. You know, me and my husband pray all the time, and I
Mhm.
don't pressure my son to be in it and things like that. And that's my fault. I need to fix that. You
Yeah.
know, I definitely need to fix that. So
It's a It's a problem. Uh, Not problem. It's a process. And I said problem because you said I need to fix that. I think you shouldn't take it as it is a problem. I think you should look at it. It's a process, not a problem. And so look at it from this approach. He's still young. Um, he still has time to develop a relationship. And then I think too, uh, make sure you don't take on, how should I word this? Don't take on the feeling of it's my fault that he feels this way towards church. Make sure you just keep it like, you know what, this is a process. This is something our family had to go through, teach us a lesson. We learn from it. Now we can grow from it. And then two, um, this can also be, and I'm trying not to get prophetic on your show. I know it's a talk show, but
no, it's gonna
also,
be your thing. I want you to be yourself.
yeah, this can be something that you and your family can use down the line as a story, as a testimony to help other families who have went through traumatic experiences in the church. Because at the end of the day, you're not the only family. You know how many families right now are not going to any church? You're not a part of any Christian community because of experiences, pain, you know. So as you all go through your healing process, this could be something that God is using for you all to create another platform that you can share with other families and help them get to their place of healing.
Amen.
Mm-hmm.
I received that.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard. It's a little nerve-wracking, but I
Right.
received that.
Yeah.
I think that I'm in a healthy place mentally, where I'm able to be able to hear a lot of what you're saying. I'm not going to say that I was always in that place. It took some time,
Yeah.
so I definitely hear you. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
So tell me, let's talk about your ministry a little bit. Tell me how you handling the pandemic. Like, what are you doing with ministry? How are you guys having ministry?
I have a great ministry, great leadership team. So basically, initially, we were doing food giveaway because of the fear, the panic. Shelves were empty. People didn't have food. They were getting furloughed. Someone losing their jobs. So we took the whole approach of doing the food giveaway. As that kind of shifted, because where I am in South Carolina, we didn't get hit as hard as other places like New York. So we didn't see the death and the sickness, and we just kind of saw here more of a pause. So we shifted from the food giveaway to more spiritual support. So basically, we're doing prayer lines. We shifted our service online, just being a place of peace, a place of positivity. Also, I'm doing a lot of teaching and preaching of faith. And also, I'm preaching and teaching lessons to help the people focus on what we're going to do after this pandemic, because it will pass. We can't get stuck here. And look, let's look at the news. Just last week, everybody was staying 100 feet apart. I don't want what you got. Stay away from me. This week, there's mobs of people going down the street looting. So I'm like, okay, well, what happened to COVID-19? So that shows you how fast the world changed. Like somebody said to me, they said, when this pandemic is over, it's going to be different. Nobody's going to want to be around each other. I told them that's false. We're human. As soon as the government say, hey, it's over, we're going back to crowded subways, crowded buses, crowded beauty salons, crowded restaurants. We're going back. That's just who we are. And so as a church, I'm just helping the people. Hey, listen, when this is over, make sure you have a plan. When this is over, make sure you're doing better with your finances. When this is over, take life seriously, because I had two friends. We were literally texting that Sunday in a group chat, texting, joking, giggling on each other. That Tuesday, both of them were dead. COVID-19. But one, that Sunday night after we texted, that Sunday night, he went into cardiac arrest. They took him back to the hospital. He passed. The next day, Tuesday, the next one went into, I think he had an asthma attack, some type of respiratory distress, gone. So after this pandemic, you got to take life seriously.
Yeah. During this pandemic, I think you got to take life seriously.
Yeah, absolutely.
My house is like Fort Knox over here. My husband don't let nobody come.
And I don't blame them. Because listen.
The routine is crazy over here.
Yeah,
I can't even come in the house and give a hug or nothing. I got to go straight to the shower. It's that, I can't give my son a hug. I can't do nothing. It's crazy over here.
I don't blame them. I don't blame them. Because when you look at all that's going on, you're just like, it's real. It's real. So I'm proud of my church. I'm proud of my leaders. I'm proud of members of our church. They've been consistent on Facebook, sharing things that are positive. Again, not buying into the narrative that this is the end of the world, it's over. We're not buying into that narrative. Of course, when you read the scripture, you know that this is not the end. What people really don't understand, they think the more we fight, the more killing. Right. They think the more we fight, the more we kill, and the more this happening, the more there's war. That means the end time is coming. But the truth is, you read the scripture, when it becomes peaceful, That's when we need to become free. When nations start coming together.
You need to send me some scriptures on this stuff.
Yeah, I gotta say that too. When because you gotta remember, in the end, the Antichrist is the one who's going to be pulling the nation together, creating a one world system. He creates peace. He's bringing about deception, and that's because everybody wants peace and everybody wants the one world to get along. So when the Antichrist is what's the word I'm looking for? When the Antichrist comes on the scene, that's going to be his way of deceiving the world by offering a peace, a solution to bring the world together. And that's where you're going to begin to see the end time begin to unfold. So right now you're looking, we're on our way to the end time, but we got a little ways to go.
Wow. Yeah, it's super scary. You know, it's so funny. Can I just say this? I remember being around 10 years old and I saw this whole vision already.
Wow.
Like literally, I saw the streets black, the military outside walking with guns. I remember having this dream at a very young age, and I never forgot it all my life. I always remember it for some reason. And then when I started seeing this stuff on the news, it just brought back flashes of the dream. I'm like, oh my God, is this? I didn't never think that I would still be alive to even experience this stuff, you know? Mm-hmm. So it's just, it's a little spooky. It's a little spooky. It's a little spooky to see things, you know.
But even in this, we got to remember what the scriptures say. David said, I once was young, now I'm old. I've never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread. Even we're enduring these difficult times, we have to remember that God will cover us, he will protect us, and he will preserve us. I know one of the questions you wanted to ask, and I may be jumping ahead, but I feel like this is a good place to say it. When we look at the people who have died because of COVID-19, the people that have went on, one thing we got to understand, we can't be sad for them. They're in a better place. If anything, we need to be sad because we're still here, you know, and that's my approach on death, that many times we weep, we mourn not having that person physically with us, but when a person died in the Lord and they have a relationship with God, as believers, we're living to die so we can live again. And so that's one of the things that gave me comfort.
Funny that you mentioned that, because I have a friend that always say that when they die, don't bring them back. They're going with the Lord. They're gonna be happy. They excited about death. You know, I look at them like, don't say that. Don't say that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's because that's a selfish part of the human nature. You know,
absolutely.
We want to keep our loved ones here and things like that.
I remember when my mother was in her transitioning stage, she had a stroke one Thursday. They told me that she was going to be gone by that Sunday. They said she's not going to make it during the weekend. But here it was Tuesday, Wednesday, the following week, she was still here. No food. They just had a load of oxygen machine. She was just laying in the bed. So I never forget, my spiritual mother called me, asked me how my mom was. And I told her, she said, I told her my mom was still just holding on. She said to me, your mother's holding on because you won't release her. And I said, what do you mean? She said, what is your prayer? And then I thought about it. Every time I would leave the room, I would tell my mother, don't leave. I'm coming back. So literally, in essence, we were holding her here. So I spent the night with her that Wednesday night into that Thursday morning. That Thursday morning, I said to her, I said, it's okay. You can leave. You can transition now. I'm okay. We're okay. You did the best you could. Yeah, you know, and so that Thursday morning, it was difficult, but I felt like, okay, if I don't say this, this is just going to drag on. And like, right. Come on, at this point. And then I got a piece of my spirit. I had to remember my mother was a holy woman. She was righteous. So why suffer when you can leave and go be in a better place and be with the Lord? Because I believe that there is a reward for us on the other side. So that Thursday morning, I said that I was going pretty much that whole day Thursday. That Thursday night, literally like 1 minute before I walked into the room, she took her last breath in transition. I believe she got out of here before I got back in that room. But we hold on to people. You got to let people go. You know, even like in life, we got to let some people go.
You know? It reminds me of my in-laws and how my husband, his grandmother was, you know, at her end, and they went to hospice, and she stayed past her time, and
Mm-hmm.
and she was holding on, and the doctor was telling them like, you know, you
Let her
guys
go.
probably need to leave and
Yeah. Yeah.
release her. And
Mm-hmm.
literally, my mother-in-law was on her way back home to Virginia, and she got the call before she even made it back here that she
Wow.
transitioned.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I definitely believe that, like, they hold on for your loved ones and stuff like that. And I can see
Absolutely.
me doing that in my mind, even though I'll be out of it or something. I'll be like, I ain't
Yeah.
going nowhere. I gotta get my son. I gotta take care of my son. I can see
Yeah.
me fighting
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah. But I think that's with this whole the COVID-19 people that went home, and some of these people. Now, this may sound far fetched, but some of these people, I believe, they were ready to go anyway. I look at some of these people that left out of here. It was like my two friends. The conversation, some of them, they were just tired, tired.
tired of all of this, the pandemic, being in the
Yes,
house, the change.
yes,
That
yes.
it's just it is a lot. It
Yeah, some
definitely is
people
a lot.
tired. So it's just, and then I think everybody have an end. There's an end to everybody's story. There's an end to everybody's chapter. There's an end.
Nobody knows the time or day.
Yeah.
So with the president being having the churches being able to congregate back together, I think they said 25% or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, are you ready to do that? Are you ready to go back into ministry to
Listen,
open up the doors?
I never shut down. We've been open the entire time. What I did when the pandemic first hit, we took our services outside.
Mm-hmm.
So we used to have a service in the parking lot. Our main sanctuary in our new building seats over 400 people. So, of course, that many people were not coming to church. So we went back into the main sanctuary, and we were seeing maybe about 40, 50 people show up. So the sanctuary is spread apart. So people are spread apart. We're disinfecting. We have hand sanitizer. The only thing, those who desire to wear masks, wear masks. Everybody don't wear a mask, but we are practicing social distancing. Um, I'm ready. I'm ready for those who are ready to come back to come back. Those who still having health challenges, those who still feel the need to protect themselves or to quarantine themselves. I encourage them to stay home. Um, so, some churches, it's all about the money for them. Thank God that we're blessed and fortunate enough that we don't have to do this because of the money. I just stayed open because the Lord told me to stay open. It wasn't even because of the money. It was more
You wasn't
so.
afraid of getting arrested? Because there was some pastors got shut down, and things had happened, and here in Virginia anyway, there was a lot going on. I know one of the pastors, he had service, and he was the only thing I wasn't like cool with was the fact that you went on the news and said you didn't know, but then you was hiding cars down at another location,
I
busting the
saw
people back.
I saw you when you posted that on Facebook. I saw.
Like, listen, don't
Yeah.
say that part. Just say that you believe in God and that's what you was doing.
Right,
Stand
right,
on it.
right,
I feel
right,
like this. If you're gonna do it, just stand on it. Don't
right,
backtrack. Just stand on it. It is what it is. That don't make you a bad person. I just think that your faith is probably bigger than what you see, and
mm,
that's what you personally believe. I mean, I feel like you do have to use some common sense, and to keep it is your responsibility to keep your members safe. And just like it's my responsibility in my business, before I went back into my business, and I went back in and I did so much cleaning, some thorough disinfection and cleaning, and I spent a lot of money on new products and disposable
mm,
items and just
mm,
things, just like
mm,
and to do all the stuff. It was very costly, but it was necessary
mm.
to protect not only myself but to protect the person that's sitting in my chair.
Yeah, your
It's
clients,
super
absolutely.
important because I don't want to be responsible for
Mm,
someone getting sick or
right,
losing their life.
right,
So it was
right.
super important. And
Yeah,
listen, I wear the mask the whole time I'm in the salon. That thing is no joke. It's hard.
yeah.
It's
I,
hard.
I think to go back to what you asked about, was I afraid to get arrested? Well, here in South Carolina, where I am, where our main location is, um, they didn't require by law for us to shut down, so we wasn't breaking any laws. And then they actually were encouraging us to go outside. because we're, it's rural where we are. And we have 9 acres of land, so we had enough space to spread out.
Yeah.
Now, my New York location shut down. New York, I didn't even go to New York. I haven't been to New York since February.
Wow.
Savannah, Georgia, same thing. The mayor was asking everybody to shut down. I shut down Savannah, I shut down New York. So the only location that was operating was our Goose Creek location. So, but again, we made sure our ministry workers had on gloves and on masks, and we stayed apart. And we cleaned that church. I made sure we cleaned and that it was safe for the people to come.
Amen. I like that. I like
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Well, let's see what else we have. Because you already told me that you lost someone, your loved one.
Yeah.
So,
well, I got a question. How can I get one of them shirts? I like that shirt.
It's a girl shirt. You know what you could get, though? You know how you can really support? And I'm going to send you a gift anyway for being on my show. But this is where I'm at. This is my new brand called Brutality. Let me tell you something, Pastor Fowler, Bishop Fowler. Listen, you see this brand right here? It said Brutality. Yeah. It was, I don't want to sound freakish, but when I got this brand, when this brand came up, when God gave me this brand, this name, and how it happened and everything, it was about police brutality. It was about bad policing and police brutality and people getting hurt and the injustice and different things like that. So I did have a statement that I made with it. And I wonder if I can't get to it. I have a statement that I made with it, and it was about unifying. And every time I would put the statement up in the beginning, Facebook would delete it. I was like, why are they doing that? Why are they censoring me? Because I'm not saying fight. I'm just saying we unify. That's how we fight. We stand strong. That's how we fight. And so to see this stuff come all full circle with George Floyd being murdered in front of our eyes and all the other injustice that has been happening for time after time after time, I feel like it's so fitting now. And I know God gave me this thing because I feel so strong about it, but I was trying to protect the name, of course, protect the name and make sure everything was legal and stuff before I really put it out. But this thing right here, it's so fitting for the time. I just feel like I just got to figure out how to market it properly. I don't know. That's the young mind got to come help me. Usually I've been hire somebody to come help me, a marketing direct, brand marketing. So I've been kind of doing things on my own and stuff. But this shirt right here is about unity. I did some hoodies. I did some T-shirts. They have backpacks for the kids when they go back to school.
Wow.
The other backpack I don't have with me. Someone bought it already. Okay. But the other backpack, like where it said Brutality here instead of Brutality.
I love it. I love it.
And you see the afro. Can you see that afro?
Yeah,
right
I see it. Yeah.
That afro.
Yeah.
And so the statement on, like, we have the book bag with the whole statement right here, so you can see that when you're walking, and it's just about us being unified in different things. And I have my little mugs and stuff about brutality and different things like that.
I need that mug and the shirt. I need both the mug and the shirt.
I got you. I'll get the information.
That's good. We need that.